friends. Welcome to episode 168 of The Rewind, a podcast dedicated to keeping its listeners on the cutting edge of the upcoming MMO Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Draq and I always want to take the first moment to thank everyone for joining us either live on Saturdays at noon Eastern or listening to the video on demand at your leisure. Please always feel free to voice your opinions or leave your top 5 lists in our comments. I promise I won't crap on them like I do our rating party. That perk is reserved especially for them. If you would like to join our rating party or any of our tiers of our Patreon, use the link below. We would love to have your support with what we do here. We use the money to buy software and hardware to improve the show so Draq doesn't have to spend his. He has about 100 kids, and as our friend Nathan Napalm says, each dollar can help support a puppet eat for a day. If Patreon is not right for you, consider liking the video or subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. It really helps us grow. Lastly, we are continuing our crazy streak of guests until early access launches in December. This week, our guest is Orrinn, who you can find streaming a wide variety of games with his wife on Twitch. He was just recently seen on Pantheon's official channel, jumping off of ledges and tanking Ravagers as a Necro. Let's see what he has to say about his Draq-like gameplay. Now, on with the show.
In the shadow depths of a ruined tower, Ziplox, the Dark Mirror Rogue, led his companions deeper into the lair of the dark wizard Malvok. The air grew thick with dark magic, twisting them around like a living thing. Behind them, annoying Llama, the human monk, moved silently, his fist ready to strike. Screech, the Scar Bard, hummed an eerie tune, his reptilian eyes gleaming as he prepared for battle. His power is immense, Anton Dubiditis, the Shaman Glyph Keeper, warned, his voice a deep murmur. Glyphs of protection pulsed faintly on his skin, ready to deflect the wizard's spells. Churro Dude, the gnome summoner, summoned a small elemental, its fiery form lighting the gloom. They reached the wizard's inner sanctum, where Malvok waited, his eyes glowing with malice. Fools! You dare challenge me? You must die! He sneered, raising his staff. Shadows erupted from the ground, but Ziplocs darted through them, blades flashing. Annoying Llama struck with rapid blows, while Screech's song infused the group with strength. Anton cast a binding spell, holding Malvok in place. Churro Dude, whose elemental lunged, and with a final desperate shriek, the Dark Wizard fell. His power shattered. Victory was theirs, for now.
Well, Draq, here we are again with another guest, like I said in the intro, and it's our good friend Orrinn. And Orrinn, just to let the listeners know, we are asking these same questions of you that we asked before of our guests in the past and our guests in the future. So future guests, if you're listening to the podcast, please get your answers ready so you don't have to to do these on the spot like Orrinn does. Anyway, so we're starting out real ambiguous. Like these are just grandiose questions. However you want to answer them, go for it. What made you start creating gaming content?
Oh man,
I know. These are the big hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Draq's questions not so tough. Like his are just fluff, easy questions, but mine they're deep questions.
If you've ever been to any of my streams, you know I'm not a small talk person. So buckle up.
I'm with you.
My answers, are going to be long-winded.
We got to fill like 3 hours of this show, so we're good.
Right. No, I watched Twitch for a couple of years before I got started, and really what drew me to it is I'm not the type of person that just sees things at face value. Like I want to know how they work. So I think it was even I had recently found Co-Carnage. Co is really great about talking about streaming as a bit, not just a business, but like the functionality almost of streaming, right?
That's cool.
And I can't look at that and go, how does this work? You know what I mean? I can't look at it and Yeah, I can't look at it.
Need to deconstruct it a bit.
Exactly. I need to know how it ticks. I think if I was born like 100 years ago or something like that, I'd be a watchmaker or a clockmaker because I need to tinker. And so, so really I did a whole bunch of research. on how streaming works. I downloaded all the software. I set up alerts and things like that with not necessarily an intention of ever streaming, of ever actually going live.
I think Draq was the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He just likes doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And now it turned into this.
I just want to know how it works, man.
Right.
I want to know how the sausage
Look where it
is
leads
made.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sends us down this whole rabbit hole. But yeah. And, I had everything ready to go, and the internet's kind of a scary place. So I think that was part of like what sort of made me hesitate. But the longer I had it just sitting there, the more I was like, well, why don't I just give it a try? So actually the first time I ever streamed, Kylaris was upstairs in our living room. Kids were napping. She's playing Overwatch on our Xbox. Well, I had hooked it up, to like capture the Xbox app, which you could stream to, like the video.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled that into OBS and I hit go live and was commentating. Didn't tell her at all.
Oh,
so
nice.
actually, Kylaris joining me 3 years later, she'd actually been the first person to stream gameplay on our channel. And for about a half an hour I commentated, and finally, she probably didn't even notice. Yeah, he's talking to himself down in the basement again, whatever. And after about a half an hour, I went upstairs and said, so yeah, you've been streaming on Twitch for about 30 minutes. And she was like, well,
what?
No. Kylaris has a little bit of like a sarcastic, cocky humor. And she goes, well, at least it was better gameplay.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, I love that.
Touche. So, it launched from there. I kept going live, and then I kind of streamed sporadically for 3 years, and then one day Twitch kind of clicked for her, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So we've been streaming for almost 8 years now, and
that's unbelievable.
Going strong with me on this for about 5. So it's nuts.
That's so awesome. Couples that game together stay together, I've always said. So
I mean, quality time, man.
Sure.
Like we'd be gaming anyway. So
absolutely,
another way to hang out.
Absolutely, love it. Great story, real great story. All right,
thanks.
Hard hitting question number 2. What, in your opinion, is the greatest moment in gaming?
I would say, just from a higher tier standpoint, right? I actually think the N64 was
great system.
Yeah.
Oh, you're speaking Dymlos' language.
Well, I
now.
mean, if you think about it, really, that era, that's kind of the EverQuest era too, where it's like we were taking gameplay from a strictly 2D arena into 3D. And I remember just being blown away by both, by the N64, by EverQuest. I had never seen games. We didn't see games like that, right? Like it was brand new, and it just took it to a completely different level. And I
as soon as Star Fox came out, it was just like, man, is this where we're going for real?
Right.
The jump from the Super Nintendo to that 64 game was unbelievable.
Nuts.
And that's where it started, or I guess technically with Mario 64, but like the jump was amazing. It blew me away. I totally agree with you.
We were all really invested in that. And then to get it in 3D was just a game changer. It was completely different. As for my greatest moment, I will never, and maybe like, this isn't me just playing to the crowd here, but I still remember the first time I logged into EQ. I remember the first time my friend showed it to me. I had a friend at school that told me about it. And I still remember sitting at where I was at in the lunchroom at my lunch table, just blown away by the stories of the adventures he was having in EverQuest.
Oh yeah.
And then I went over to his house to check it out, and just my mind was blown. I think my expectations on gaming were forever altered that day. Like there was just nothing
right
like
there
it.
with you.
So yeah.
As Draq said 2 weeks ago, the first hit is free, and then you're addicted.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Actually, after that, I started working when I was like almost 14 in a greenhouse. So
nice.
I could. And so I had my own money, right? So like I went and bought EverQuest myself. I didn't have to wait for
Absolutely.
my parents or my birthday or whatever. I could just go get EverQuest. But my parents wouldn't let me use their credit card at first because I'm, how
Sure.
old, 15, whatever. Sure. And I ended up kind of convincing them, but initially my brothers and I, we wanted to play so bad. Do you remember like the little tutorial?
Okay, so
Thing that they
Draq and I had no idea that this actually existed.
What?
We didn't
Because
even
we
know.
had
we
internet.
Totally missed it.
We were good to play it from the moment we
right
got
away.
it.
Oh
yeah.
man.
So we never had
absolutely.
to go into a tutorial. We just played.
Oh.
And so and on our comments too, when we had no idea, people were like, "Oh yeah, the tutorial was awesome."
Yeah.
Who was it? Was Mana Rohan that brought that up first? Yeah,
Yep.
we had no idea that tutorial even existed.
Yeah. I had internet, but I couldn't pay for the sub because
Sure.
they wouldn't let me use the credit card at first.
It's expensive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going for a game. My parents, my dad especially, not a gamer.
$10
Still.
a month and 99 was still a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you're going to pay with, I mean, there was the whole idea of putting your credit card on something online at the time, right?
That's
and
a no-no.
So, so my brothers and I, we sat there and played that tutorial over
I love it.
and over and over again. And I can still play it in my brain whenever at will, until finally I convinced them, hey, this is secure. It's okay. Please. I bought this game. I will pay you every month. Let me play. So, but yeah, I remember the moment I logged in, Wood Elf Druid, right in GFA. So
that was me as well. My first real main. We dabbled around with other stuff, but my first real main was Wood Elf Druid as well.
Whatever, annoying. Whatever.
And what was your first real main, Drac? What was that tune that you had when we? Rudite? Shadow Knight? Oh.
Shadow Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Because I was going against every norm.
Honestly, there weren't really norms even. You just were weird.
Right. I was just weird. I was just like, what is the weirdest character I can create? And that was it. A Rudite Shadow Knight.
I mean, no one even knew that shield even existed and to try to catch Erudites up. And
no, I was just like, I want to be the only one on the server. And I'm pretty sure I was.
You were.
Wow.
I think there was one more.
There was
one
we
other
bump
one.
into another guy, and he was way more decked out than me because he was like a raider or something.
Yeah, we were not
Yeah,
that.
we were not that, so.
It took us a while to get there, but that's because we were trioing with an Erudite Shadow Knight, a Wood Elf Druid, and a human Necro.
We were
like the unlikeliest of trio.
Straight out of a storybook. Like it was amazing.
Oh my gosh. That is so fun though. That's so fun though.
All right, soft questions out of the way. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into the Pantheon stuff.
Is that why we're here?
Yeah,
I thought
that's
this
why
was
we're
an
here.
EverQuest podcast.
So when exactly did you start following Pantheon?
I heard about it around the time of the first Kickstarter, and I wasn't in a situation where I could pledge or whatever, where I could donate to it,
We're
which
all
is
kicking ourselves now because we all want that Steam that was $500 back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. Which, so I mean, like I heard about it around that time, obviously as a big EverQuest fan, having played a lot of World of Warcraft and just not capable of not comparing the two. And as time went on, especially like, where they took World of Warcraft
to the not good place,
to the really not good, to the super easy. Like, I mean, we just tried it a couple weeks ago too, again. And it was like, what's the point of this? It's like an AFK game. I barely
it's
have to
crazy
do anything.
that people love this game so much. Millions and people
Yeah.
still play it. Like quest hubs are so boring.
It's
it is. I don't understand why people want to level up characters. Now, I will say like the battle arenas, like the 10 on 10, whatever the big one was, if it was it 40 on 40? No, it wasn't that big. It was like what, 25 on 25?
Alterac Valley, baby, 40 on 40.
Was it 40 on 40?
It was 40 on 40.
I did have fun with those, and I don't like PvP at all, but I did have fun with those battle arenas. Those were good, but
it was.
I'm with you. The leveling is just It's a snooze fest.
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring. Like, no matter how much nostalgia, I don't want to sidetrack too much from Pantheon,
No,
but
that's what this show is.
Right.
Too late.
Right. One big side conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't know if it's nostalgia. I think they do a lot of things really well. Like the abilities, I think, are so fun. The graphics for the abilities and stuff, it looks good.
Sure.
It feels good. You know, there's things about it that are good, but what's not good is the just regular gameplay.
And the people in Baron's chat.
And the people in Baron's chat. I should have gotten one of
You
those
all know who
t-shirts.
you are out there.
Oh, yeah.
I know all of you, and I know your names. I wrote them all down.
But, you know, it's like, I couldn't help comparing it at the beginning, even though I really did have a great time in EverQuest for in World of Warcraft for a long time, especially because my wife Kylaris came and played and really got into it too. And we were playing with some of our best friends, and it was a way for us to connect with them across our state even.
Yep.
And so it was like some of the best times, but the game just got progressively easier. And that's not really what I wanted. I want challenge. I want, I want to interact. I play, even though I'm an introvert, I play MMOs to have people around me and to interact with people.
Get a little social interaction in. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, I heard that Brad, knowing who Brad was, I heard that Brad was looking to do another game. Just I've been following it ever since. So yeah, I wasn't able to really like contribute monetarily until my 40th birthday. Actually, it was my 40th birthday gift to pledge to that. So because
That's a great gift.
Yeah, I didn't want anything else. Kylaris is going, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Nothing. I don't care." And she's like, "Well, you've been following Pantheon for years." I was doing, restreaming or streaming alongside the devs, like with my community and everything, watching their streams, talking about it and stuff. And that was my way of contributing, right? Telling people about it is, hey, I'm passionate about this. I'm going to talk about it. But so she was like, you've been doing this so long, and the only thing you really haven't done is pledge. And I know you're passionate about supporting them. You don't want anything else. Why don't you pledge? And so
Awesome.
so I did like a champion tier pledge and everything for my 40th birthday. So yeah, it was pretty fun. So yeah, I've been watching it a really long time. And, I'm not as ambitious as you guys are in all the content creation. Oh man, I
just
how impressed
crazy is the word.
Yeah. Well, but I'll say this. I'm really impressed by you guys. I really am, because the amount of work that you put into this, and it's because I think you're passionate, not just Pantheon, but the genre and stuff.
For sure.
And I've got loads of respect for you guys. So,
I appreciate you for saying that. That means a lot, actually.
Yeah, no,
because we do. I mean, even we take a lot of heat for voicing our opinions, even if they're bad.
Sure.
But it's a place of love. I mean, last week we had Redbeard Flynn on, and he had to like kind of give us some therapy, some Pantheon therapy for the second time in 10 weeks. Because sometimes we just kind of get a little fed up with stuff, and it's good to. And I really feel like I've found my happy place with Pantheon. I've moved on. I'm letting Pantheon fly free. I want people to see it now. They're going to spread their wings and fly. And as Redbeard Flynn said, if they fall straight to the ground, so be it. And if they soar and we get the game that we want, then wonderful. Either way, I'm still going to be playing. It's still going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it, and that's all that matters, right? So
absolutely.
Whatever decision is made or whatever happens with the game, even if people hate on it all over Steam, then it's a go. It's still a go for me, and I can't wait for December.
That's where I've kind of always said to people, because people say to me too, I think it's human nature, right? To especially when you get impatient, when you want something so bad, and it's taking a long time for whatever reasons, right? For whatever reasons, it doesn't matter. They could be good reasons, and there will still be people that like. I almost think it's a coping mechanism, right? I do.
You're probably right.
And I don't mean like that in a a negative way, or like a not slamming anybody. I think it's just it's a coping mechanism that, like, when you want something so bad and you can't have it, right? I think eventually you get to the point where you almost have to tell yourself you don't want it. Well, why don't I want it? Well, here, let me come up with all of these reasons. And I think humanity in general has a tough time with patience overall, right? And
For sure.
And disappointment too, right? Like,
Plenty of that to go around.
It's hard. So, I think you're always going to have people who are coming in kind of crapping on it, you know what I mean? But I've always looked at it this way, and this is what I've told people who have come in and talked to me about it. Hey, this game isn't going to launch. Well, listen, I didn't pledge, or I haven't followed it, or, tried to support it by word of mouth and things like that, because I know it's going to launch. I don't know. Plenty of games have canceled. What I'm here for is the dream. That dream hasn't died because Pantheon is taking longer than I wanted. Right. That dream hasn't died because, somebody comes into my chat and says it's never going to launch or whatever, right? Or even if Pantheon doesn't launch, I'm still going to want a game like Pantheon. And
absolutely.
I don't think anything's going to change that. This is my genre. This is what I want from a game. So, yeah, I've always said I'm subscribed to the dream, not a guarantee.
Love
I
it.
love it.
We should make a T-shirt about that, Diamond.
That is some merch waiting to happen.
That's some future merch right
it's
there.
It's my face, like,
we'll put that on there. Absolutely.
I'll glamour shot it.
Oh, I love it.
I will have that available for the Rewind on Saturday. So if you would like to buy, I subscribe to the Dream T-shirts. Click on the link below.
Oh, beautiful. We haven't put out new merch in a while, so this is a good time.
Yeah, do I get a free one?
No. Yeah, I'll work that out for you. Absolutely.
Draq wanted to say no so bad.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to say no.
That's cutting in my heart there.
He's got those 100 kids, man. He's got
exactly.
Oh man, awesome.
Listen, if you're going to answer every question and we're going to go on that type of rabbit trail for every question, this really is going to be a 3.
And that was one of the fluff questions.
I'm telling you, I don't do small talk. I'll try to be more concise.
No, you're fine. It's just funny. What are your favorite past MMOs?
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe I'm always worried I'm going to sound cliche,
no.
but maybe not.
I mean, there's only so many, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I've played a lot. Yeah, EverQuest for sure. EverQuest will always have a special place, right? I still hop on live and P99 and things like that just to get my little EverQuest fix. I'm not nostalgic about much really, but I am about that game. And then like Star Wars Galaxies, absolutely loved Star Wars Galaxies. Still get on like the Legends emulator and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, the combat sucks, but.
I played that on release, and I was like, because I'm the guy that's always got to be different, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do?
Oh, man.
I'm going to main an entertainer. That's what I'm going to do. This is going to be the most amazing character ever.
We have
played it for like 2 months, and I was like, this is the dumbest character ever. That was the end of me in Star Wars Galaxy.
Mistakes were made.
Not even I'm gonna roll another character.
No.
I can't play this game.
That's exactly how it went.
Wow, Draq. I feel like you're on this self-destructive path.
I think we were on to our second or third wave of EverQuest at that point, so it was fine.
So what drew you into Pantheon? What about Pantheon that is different than other MMOs or other MMOs that are coming out is pulling you so hard towards Pantheon?
A couple of things, the dedication of this group, because I think it would have been really, really easy for them over the years to call it quits.
Oh yeah, especially after Brad died. Easy.
Yeah,
they had the easy out, and they didn't take it.
Yep.
I always like to put this in there too. They probably could have been making more money somewhere else too.
Yep.
Easy.
FYI. They could have quit this and gone and made more money somewhere else, which is what I would have done. Just FYI, I would have bailed on you all and taken the money. Okay?
Oh man, I mean, if you think about it too, they could be making more money with Pantheon because they've turned investment away. That was one of the things that somebody I was talking to who got into Pantheon That was a big thing for them. That was kind of like a, wow, I can really respect this. Is they've turned investment away because they want to retain the control of their product. And that's a really hard decision to make, when we've all got food to put on the table and stuff. So, the dedication of the team, the dedication to the vision, that's not to say it hasn't changed over time a little bit or whatever. I'm sure there's different opinions on that, but the dedication to what really at its core Pantheon is and what they want it to become, which leads into the other things, right? Like the group centric gameplay. I love a difficult game world that wants to kill me, and I need to find friends to share experiences with and go on adventures with. And I really, I felt that same feeling. I got that in EverQuest, and I felt that same feeling getting into Pantheon. In fact, Selfish Locke, played EverQuest as well, not with me, but we both have EverQuest stories and history and stuff. And when he eventually got into Pantheon testing as well, he messaged me and was like, "Oh my gosh, Orrinn, like it's just how I remember it. Like, this is our game. This is it." And I'm like, I know, like, yes. And it just the difficult world, the big MMO to explore, the not on rails, the not quest hub after quest hub after quest hub. I can go out in the world and find this little camp tucked away someplace. And is it something I can, reasonably do right now? And then, what do they drop? It's like this whole feeling of exploration and discovery that I absolutely love. And it's not some NPC telling me I'm a hero for, I don't know, farming crops or something. I don't know.
Thank you for the dirt. Yeah. You're a hero.
Yeah, exactly. You saved the world. That's all of that. Like, even the return of CC,
absolutely,
into the, what are we calling it? The quaternity. I love that whole game approach. I love thoughtful, planned, collaborative gameplay. That's my jam. So
race class combo for your main. What's it going to be?
Man, I was looking at this question. I'm like, dang it. Of course you guys are going to ask that.
Well,
yeah. It's hard.
We're staticgroup.live. We lock you into a class and a race, and you are never allowed to change, okay? This is the moment. From this moment forward, you are dedicated to the end of time playing this race class character.
You guys, I can't even turn off my camera or leave this video call. Help me.
Don't worry. I've changed it like 3 or 4 times now, so don't feel too bad.
I mean, my, I tend to fall into a support role. I've just found over the years, what do I call myself? Facilitator. I'm very much a facilitator. I have a really good time when I know all of my friends are having a really good time. And, so I genuinely enjoy that support role. And so a lot of the time I want to play healer and things like that. So I'm always drawn initially to Druid. I love the whole idea of Druids. For whatever reason, it speaks to me. And
do you like nature?
Yeah, what's funny? I grew up in the city a little bit until I was about 9. And then we moved out to the countryside. And I still remember that moment of like, I have a woods behind my house. This is going to be amazing. Like I'm an explorer. Like I think, what is it? The Bartles test or whatever too for gaming. It's like, I'm hardcore the explorer, and that's in real life too. So I spent countless hours out in those woods. So it's awesome. Like, Druid just speaks to me. So I'm interested to see what Druid looks like, in Pantheon and as a healing class and stuff, but I've got competition because Locke, Selfish Locke is a big time healer too. So I'm curious also to try to really get into Enchanter, because I really like the idea. I've never really played it in EQ, and so I like their take on Enchanter. and what they've done to kind of make that better, you know, the experience of it. And so it might be healer, it might be enchanter. I'm really like, as for race, I'm really, really drawn to the dark mirror.
Yeah.
I think I'm mirror. I think I'm dark mirror. I think I'm team dark mirror.
Yep.
But,
welcome aboard.
Yeah. That I always like the elves, but I always pick elf, and I kind of want to do something different. So the dark mirror.
I always loved dark elf and EQ, but I could never bring myself to play one because it was like
evil.
Yeah, you couldn't go to all the places I've been to and that I know super well. I'd have to. I just was not all about being KOS to those places, but now this is my chance. I'm gonna dark mirror it up.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right, favorite MMORPG story.
Man, there's so many. There's so many.
Preferably the more embarrassing about you, the better, but you tell whatever story you want.
Listen, just on the dev stream, I jumped off the ledge
a couple
times. The second time was on accident too.
Wink, wink, wink. Yep.
So, so after doing that on the dev stream, no, I think one of my favorite things that I don't think I'll ever forget is in EverQuest, my buddy and I went to the Freeport Arena and invised ourselves, dropped some loot in the arena, and then invised ourselves, shouted to a bunch of people that we were dropping. I don't remember what the gear was, you know what I mean? But that we were dropping decent mid-level gear in there. I was on my druid. He was on his summoner or his magician. Oh gosh, magician.
It's fine. It's the
same thing. And we were luring people into the arena, and we would pop out of nowhere when they jumped in. It's always somebody's like skirting around the edge. Like, hey, is anybody really around? And that,
why would they put it in here if they were giving it away?
Right. And I see the bag, right. And eventually they jump into the arena and we'd pop out of there. And, my buddy'd send his pet in on them to the point where they were almost dead. We're blasting them. And then we would stop. And we'd make them join our group. We'd be like, join us, right? We made this guy join our group. He was probably like level 12 or something. And made him join our group. We bound him in the arena. As far from the door as we could get them. And then we had that guy heckling everyone in OOC. And, people are getting ticked at this guy. And we told him, we were like, tell them all to come to the arena if they want to fight. And so we were luring more people in with this guy we had convinced to join our group and stuff. And then we were binding them. We were making them join our group, binding them, dropping them, and then killing them over and over and over again. And it was terrible, but it was so much fun.
That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness. That's pure evil.
It is.
We were younger back then. It was a different time.
I'm a different Orrinn, okay?
Exactly.
Listen, I wasn't always family friendly, okay?
That's okay.
Pre-family friendly Orrinn.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
So just kind of back to getting to know you questions.
Sure.
If you were stuck on a desert island with only one game for the rest of your life and no internet, what would it be?
Oh, no internet?
Yeah. That's the caveat.
I'm gonna say Breath of the Wild.
What is something about you that your community might not know about you?
Oh gosh, I don't think there's anything I haven't told them besides my social security number.
Well,
perhaps your cat's name or your
mother's maiden name.
Yeah, right. Every way that they can identify me as a real person. Yeah. Besides some of that, like identifying info, I'm pretty much an open book. I've told all my injury stories, some of my childhood. Like, I don't think there's much I haven't told them. But I will say a lot of people are surprised to find out, even in my professional life and on Twitch. People, when they're coming in new and everything, they're surprised to find out how much of an introvert I actually am. Mm-hmm. Because I have without, being immodest, I have people skills. And so it's like a lot of people automatically assume I'm this super extroverted guy that, yeah, hey, my name's Matt, hey, Matt, you want to come out and hang out and stuff? And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, nope.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Absolutely been there.
So I think
dude, I'm the same way. I streaming is the perfect introverted activity because you're interacting people, but when you're done, then you can just shut them out.
It's on your terms.
It's on my terms. 100%.
I have said that, like Kyle Larson and I, again, big conversationalists, deep thinkers, right? And we've talked about this over the years. Like, streaming is my perfect social experience because I can come on here and be ridiculous and funny and chat with people that, the people who stick around are the people we share interests, right? And so it's like we're talking about all this stuff, and they'll put up with my long rants and everything. And but when it's time to go, it's not awkward. It's different than somebody coming to your house where, like if you get to the point where you're socially exhausted, how do you...
They're 90 minutes past the time when we agreed they were going to leave. And it's all like, yeah.
And I'm terrible at transitioning like conversations and things like that. I'm horrible at it. So like, and because I'm always worried I'm going to like offend somebody or whatever. So how do you say, this has been great, genuinely, but I'm tired of you being here and I need you to leave. You know what I mean? Like, you
and the emotional capital that you have to spend to like have that conversation is so much. And I'm just like, I never want to do that. It's so awful.
Yeah.
I do love just being able to hit the Discord button. Bye-bye, disconnected.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Orrinn, last question. Describe what types of content you do for the people that may have never seen your videos.
Conversations, for one thing. If you couldn't tell. Yeah, I think our stream, if I could just sum it up, is less about the games themselves and more about the conversations. We appreciate the people who come in and chat with us. Like, I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the views. I don't care.
That's not what we're here for.
I know. Yeah, right.
We're not here to
better
make
not
money
be,
or
because
anything.
otherwise we're in big trouble.
It's nice to see them, but it's not our jobs, right? Like, this is what we do for fun.
Yeah. In fact, like really, Kyle Larson and I, when we first started, really like having a schedule, building a community, streaming was exhausting. I think that's something a lot of people don't realize is streaming is hard. Oh, yeah. Like, it's exhausting. Yep. And there would be nights.
You heard that?
Yeah.
You heard that? I don't want to stream for 8 hours.
Dymlos, you want to do an 8-hour stream? He's like,
no, I'd rather die. Yeah.
It's miserable.
Yeah. It takes a lot out of you. But like what we kind of realized over time is like, even if we're not really feeling in the mood to do it, even if we're grumpy, we're having a bad day, even, there's very little now that stops us, because we've realized that for us, getting on and streaming and talking with the people who keep coming back, that we've kind of built these, internet relationships with, right? It's not, we're not all best friends, but like, but we know these people and they know us, and the conversations that we have and everything, that it makes our day better. And we just kind of hope we do the same for them too. So, a lot of our stream is just about like why we do what we do is just to meet cool people, people that we mesh with. And so the game really takes a back seat, to that. We will play all kinds of games or whatever. It might be Pantheon a lot coming up here, but for a long time. But the game kind of doesn't matter. It's more who we're hanging out with.
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
All right. So, champions, join the VIP. Welcome to the Big Boy Club. You are now our equal. How do you feel about that, Orrinn?
I wouldn't say equal. That's a
Whoa.
Let's not get carried away.
Sorry, don't pull in the money you do. No, I'm super excited. Really excited. Glad to be back in. And I think this is the start of really just access, right? The gates.
Yeah, you're never leaving. This
open.
is it. You're in forever.
Yeah, and actually, you know, I've had access, right? Obviously, but for the last couple of days. But I'm kind of waiting for my group. We're all just geeked. Cannot wait to get in and play together again. So
awesome.
Nice.
Yep, it's gonna be good. I'm glad we're all together. That should certainly help out the server population too. It's good.
Yes.
It's only good from there on out.
Also, in case you've been hiding underneath a rock, Darkmere, halflings, elves, and new humans are in the new character models, which I can't even tell you how amazing they feel. It feels so good to turn around and see something other than angry human behind me. It's so good.
I hate humans. I hate humans in general. I never want to play one in a game because I am one. I guess every time this comes up, humans are the most popular played race in any of these games. It blows my mind. It just, I would never think that people would want to play humans in games like EverQuest or Pantheon or anything like that.
I think it's a little bit of association. Kylars is like that. She always wants to play human or something human-like, and I'm the exact opposite. I'm just like you. I'm a human in real life. I want to play something more interesting.
Exactly. There's nothing more boring than a human. Except in D&D, because then you get that variant feat that you get at level 1. Then it's okay to be a human.
Right.
Outside of that, I never want to be a human. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Throw Draq out.
Yeah. He's the one that got me into tabletop role-playing games with TMNT way back in the day.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Oh, that game was so terrible. It was
if
fun.
If you haven't played the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle role-playing game, you have not lived yet.
Don't do it. Don't go buy those books. It was terribly. The system was a trash. The games were fun because we were, mutants, but like the actual combat system was just straight terribleness.
It needed some help.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's rough.
Also, a wipe. Everybody was wiped.
It's fine.
So it was a little sad. Our Halnir characters, we were just getting to the point where we were going deep into Halnirs, and we're back to level 1 again. But, it's early. You kind of figure that's going to happen. We're going to get wiped again when EA starts soon anyway.
Yep.
So, it's
T-minus 1 month till your next wipe, so get ready for it.
Get used to it. Don't get too attached to this character.
I'm just not going to get that attached. I'm going to keep it in my brain. Hey, this is going to get wiped. I'm going to have fun with the experience.
Even after December, don't get attached to it.
Right.
Or better yet, play a class that you're probably not going to play after launch, because this is the time to screw around and do something that you wouldn't normally do. Except for me, I'm just going to keep playing the wizard.
Well, you got to get good at it at some point.
I mean, I can't branch out. Things are going to be bad.
Someday, Drax, someday you'll be a good wizard.
Wow.
We'll keep hoping.
Why do all the guests side with Dymlos? I don't know what's going on.
Because it's fun to make fun of you.
It's fun. Yeah. I love you, Drac. But
no, it's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Well, we have a European server that came out of nowhere. They didn't really talk about it. They didn't really mention it. And all of a sudden, it just showed up. Like, wow.
I'm sure there are enough European players out there that bitched about it on the Discord.
Well,
that they needed their own server.
PVL. Maybe that's PVL's private server or something.
Wait,
wait, they're Canadian.
Canada? Yeah.
They're Canadian, not European. Close enough.
It's because they're Frenchies. They're the French ones.
Canada's Europe, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
They love the Queen, right? That's she's on their money. It must be Europe.
We actually logged on to the Canadian server. Whispering Lands is the name. We logged onto it on our stream on Monday.
It's not Canadian, it's European.
Oh my goodness. We logged onto the European server, Whispering Lands, on Monday because all the good camp spots were taken on all the other servers.
Oh my gosh.
So we went over to the European server.
It's got to be open.
the European server that everybody thought was the Canadian server, so it was dead, and you got all the good camps.
Yep, that's how it went. That's how it went.
Hey, Joppa, you get me so excited about classes and abilities. When you say you're someone, I'll come and friends for me. Hey, Joppa, I hope your words were pure gold. My broken heart is my fault, so now I carry around an extra shaker of salt. Hey, Joppa.
All right, Joppa Says, 5 streams this week, 18 hours of total Joppa streaming this week.
All the Joppa you can handle.
I have listened to every single hour, so you don't have to.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I got a new job in May, and one of the things that made me sad about it, though, like it was a super awesome job, but was that I couldn't interact with Joppa Streams as much. I just had to listen. Kills me.
Well, I'm a week behind always, and then I listen to them at 2x. So I only listen to Joppa at twice as fast, so it's super fun.
And cuts out all the EQ and EQ guesser and Wordle. Although he's not been doing that recently.
It's been all
nose to the grind. Is that the term? Nose to the grindstone? Yeah.
Draq doesn't know what Joppa's actual voice sounds like.
Yeah, I have no idea. All I know is
sounds like a chipmunk.
All right. Well, Joppa this week said 60 days till the quote holiday time frame that they are targeting for Pantheon early access. At that time, they expect to have charm in, they expect to have banners in, and they expect to have illusions in. All classes except for Bard and Druid up to 40. That seems like an awfully short amount of time to me.
That's amazing.
I always say, like, to people, we don't know what they're doing in the background either. You know, like even when Joppa streams and he's doing stuff, that doesn't mean there aren't other people working. And so I just try to keep my expectations at, like, I don't know what to expect. So.
Well, and last week we found out that his streams are on his own time. Like he goes to work early in the morning and leaves late every day. So the time that he does in the middle where he does his streams is literally his time to do whatever. And he chooses to work, you know? Yeah. So people that gave him a hard time about like EQ Guesser and Wordle and all that stuff, like that's his time. That's his like lunch break ish.
Yep.
So I'm sure they're all working hard.
Bad now, you big jerks.
Yeah, take that. Joppa can do whatever he wants.
The rewind, where we rewind your self-esteem.
That's my favorite part.
We have a continued conversation about stats. We talked a little bit about
lack
this
thereof.
Oh my goodness. There was a lot of arguing about stats on the official Discord this week and also in Joppa's stream. To sum up, basically HP and mana will increase on your character as you level, but attributes will not increase. They will only increase through itemization. And possibly, Joppa's considering every 5 to 8 levels, you would get to choose where to invest 1 stat point.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons again.
Like I was just about to say, kind of a Dungeons and Dragons type feel. But what that allows them to do is that allows them to make like a +1 strength or a +1 intelligence is really powerful and you feel it. And that is the goal of what, and with buffs and all that other stuff that increases your attributes, you really feel it. And that's supposed to be the goal. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that's what they've been going for, or at least trying to accomplish this whole time. So if this is the way they have to do it, because one of the biggest complaints is bloat, right? Like we don't want to get to the EQ2 points or where we're millions and millions of hit points. It's tough to look at sometimes. So I think since the very beginning, they wanted this whole +1 being a huge thing. So, and it's good because we were already, even in testing with items and stuff like that, getting some serious bloat. So this works out real well and it keeps things challenging.
You know, I think it's not the norm in video games.
For sure.
At least in the games that we've had, right? And I think initial reactions are probably based on that, right? Like, oh, how is this going to work? And I guess I'm one of those people that I sort of take things a day at a time. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, we'll see how it works out. And they're going to collect data, and, you know, we still have time for changes if they feel that's necessary, or we see if it might really work out. And like you were saying, you know, that's what they've been shooting towards, and hoping to achieve. And so if they're able to use that or even minor tweak it to get the results they want, I'm on board. It actually, it working kind of like D&D
Yeah.
doesn't sound like a bad thing to me.
Nope.
So,
there's a reason
I'm good
that
with
game's been around for 50 plus years, right? It's
absolutely. Well,
it's
and
the
when
gold
you get
standard.
when you get something good, like when you get something, it feels really good. Like, again, it goes back to the conversation of just being handed content and handed things kind of on a silver platter. Is like, it seems fun at first, but it gets boring after a while. There isn't longevity there. So I'm good with, like, you know, hey, I've been working at this and now I finally got this one drop that, like, you know, it boosts my stats. Even if it seems like a low number, I can feel the difference. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
So if I can feel it, awesome.
We are adding required items or required levels to items in the game. This is to, one, control the twinking, and two, just right now for testing purposes. Maybe it'll enter the game later, but for right now, it's for testing purposes, because they kind of want to see what the gear like scope is when people get certain gear, how it affects them, how crafting versus dungeon drops happen, and the goal is to balance crafting and gear drops together. And Joppa went on his way, and I thought this was a really intelligent point. Joppa went out of his way to mention that this is way different than EverQuest. This is one thing that is extremely different than EverQuest, because in EverQuest, there is very few actual gear items for specific levels. It's very sparse. And so that bronze armor that you got, like, it was really hard, and most people skipped it because you couldn't even get the right size for whatever you were trying to go for. So,
and it was heavy.
Yeah, and it was heavy. And Pantheon is going to have a lot more gear. And so balancing it is a lot more difficult. And there's a lot more stats in Pantheon. Like, there's all kinds, there's hit and crit, and like there's all these stats that were not, I mean, crit was in Pantheon or in EverQuest, but like, it's just a lot deeper combat system than EverQuest. So what do you think about required levels for items?
Well, I think the big thing we hit here is to know that this is just temporary.
Yeah.
That will go away. And we've been kind of clamoring about this before. We don't understand how they are getting numbers. How are we even testing this game if all we do is just build gear, you know, do the crafting stuff, go into Goblin Cave with already chain, you know, or whatever at that point up to bronze. It's skewing the numbers. And same thing with doing the twinking. It doesn't give the numbers that we're looking for. We're trying to balance the game so people that try to get ahead or do something that just skews the numbers one way or the other is just, all that data is worthless. Like, they can't use it. So this way they can control it themselves and make sure that the numbers are right before it goes forward in EA. So I'm all for this.
Yeah, I'm good with it too, from like especially from a testing point of view. But I was there for that stream and listening to Joppa, and like, you can just tell too, like they struggle with this, and I gotta think this is one of the hardest things to talk about as a development team, because I mean, the fact is you're not going to please everyone, right?
Can't.
You can't if you're holding out for universal acceptance. You're waiting forever, right? So
definitely don't put the game on Steam.
right. And I mean, like, you know, I totally get where even people like the idea of twinking and stuff. I'm more towards the idea of, like, I don't mind if I roll a new character. I'm here for the experience. I'm here for.
Well, I don't always want to start off with cloth armor every time I create a new character.
Oh man, we're fighting
fun.
already, Dymlos. We're fighting already.
I like the
This
twinking.
is it. This is the topic. No, right. So like, this is the topic that I really don't envy them in regards to like what they're going to need to do. So I guess, you know, I I trust that they're going to try and make the best decision overall. But I mean, yeah, like you were saying, this is testing. Whatever they want to do for testing, people got to keep in mind this isn't the release game. So I'm good with whatever.
They need to do what they need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To get the product.
Yep.
To get the end product that we want.
Better now than later.
For sure.
Right.
Joppa mentioned that pretty much all of Pulse is, quote, in. Now, if you don't know what Pulse is, Pulse was originally made for the perception system, and basically is a behind-the-scenes system that tracks everything your character does, and it has little triggers. And so if you complete a certain quest, that checks a little box, or if you visit to a certain place, that checks a little box, or if you've interacted with a certain object, that checks a little box. And so then when you talk to an NPC, it takes into account all these checks and all these places that you've been and all these objects you've interacted with, and opens up dialogues for certain things that are checked based on what you and your character have done. Super cool system. One of the hallmarks and absolutely brand new things that Pantheon is bringing to the table. So this is very exciting. It's, as Joppa said, it's going to make the world rich and exciting and immersive. You guys excited for Pulse?
This is actually one of my favorite features. This is one of the things I'm most excited about, because
sure.
I'm definitely an immersion guy. I want to feel like I'm, playing my part in this game world, and this goes a long ways towards that being a much more rich and immersive experience. So I'm right there. I'm right there with Joppa.
Well, I like that it how different everything is going to be for everybody, right? Like, so unless you and your whole group went to every place, talked to every NPC, it's going to be a little different. So it's going to take, remember when Epic Quest dropped and everyone was like searching and searching and searching? I feel that is going to be very similar to what this is like, where, oh, okay, well, yeah, I talked to this person and then I got this to open up. And like, people are not going to know, and they're just going to be having to explore, because we're not going to know exactly what that quote unquote box is that needs to be checked to be able to open that dialogue. So it could just be something as little as going to a certain place in Thronefast, or, killing a certain mob, or talking to some rando way in the corner of Silent Plains. It's really interesting, and I hope it gets super complex, because, I want, and I think what we all want nowadays is like kind of what you see in these animes like Sword Art Online, where you get your own personal quests. Like, the quest has only opened up to you because you did something that no one else has, and you're going to have this experience that no one else has. Kind of like in Baldur's Gate, right? Like, how many different endings, but when they released the numbers after their first year, like only 50 people saw a certain ending. And like, that's cool, because millions and millions of people played this game and only 50 people saw this ending. That's cool. So if this is what Pulse does for the game, I definitely want that to hapen.
It reminds me of unlocking Jedi in Star Wars Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the NGE.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. So much depth that you added to the game. I think, I keep thinking about World of Warcraft's Cataclysm expansion, where, it's like, we were blown away at first, like, oh my gosh, they're changing the game world. Nobody ever does that. The MMOs don't change, right? and after a while, we kind of thought, we want our zones back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they went too far. I kind of feel like this is almost a meeting in the middle. You could change so much of a player's immersive experience from this feature without taking away the familiar. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it makes it way intense. It makes it worth all the exploration, seeing everything, talking to everybody, doing everything. That's what you want, right? Like, yep. That's exactly the game that we want. So thumbs up to this one too.
Mr. Positive, Mr. Dymlos.
That's me.
All right. Well, this one should make Dymlos happy. Joppa talked a little
it's
bit
not
about charm coming into the game.
Womp womp womp.
As far as kind of the design feature of charm, you're going to be able to charm stuff up your level or lower, or your level or higher 5 levels. So, so you will be able to charm stuff that's more powerful than you. It will be on a variable duration, but the higher it is above you, the greater it has for a % chance to break. But also, unlike EQ, charisma will actually help your charm.
Nice.
We don't know. It's a Pantheon myth. Pantheon myth. We don't know.
The flat terminus people are coming out in swarms. Also,
the white whale.
Also, we mentioned that Necros get undead charm, and that, of course, the pet that you charm, you'll get a pet bar like the summoner pet or like the necro pet, and that pet will include the mob's abilities. So you'll get the mob's abilities that you charm will be on the pet bar. So that's going to be really interesting, and I think personally very hard to balance, but we'll see, because I know that Gulu Gulo is wringing his hands right now because that man is going to abuse the heck out of charms. So we'll see.
I was going to say, who cares about balance? That's the hotness. So let me charm people. Just let me charm people.
No. I hate this. We have spent
all positiveness
all
is now gone.
Yeah. First off, charm is so broken. And the one thing about enchanters, they already have the best mana regen. They do they are able to mez, unlike anybody else, or at least hopefully that's the case by the time the game rolls out. We've come to know that rogues are pretty good at it too. Way better than they should be comparative. And then the Necros can also do it to undead. But this is, the reason that Channers were so broken in EQ is because they were given so much. They're the best DPS with charm. They're the best mana regen batteries. They were the best at crowd control. They were the best for 5 years until they hit. Well, they didn't even get nerfed. They just stopped getting better. They stopped getting skills because everyone just had to play catch up. Like the next 20 years of EverQuest was everyone trying to catch up to enchanters. And this is, we didn't change anything. This is exactly what EverQuest charm is. You can do it up. You can get a higher pet. You can get a lower pet, and it has a less chance to break. But we're back to square one. And this is what I didn't want. I wanted something like encounter-based charm, or charm didn't last very long and you eventually couldn't charm something afterwards for a while. I feel like after all this time of not putting charm in, and we just go back to EverQuest charm is a down. Like, I just am not positive about this at all. So sad day for me, great day for enchanters. I'm sure enchanters everywhere are rejoicing, but Dymlos is not happy about this. Because
I was just going to say, Dymlos as a possible enchanter main, haters going to hate.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. That's exactly right. I am going to hate because I am not going to be the best DPS, the best Mannery Bata, and the person that can break up everything. Welcome to being the best again, enchanters. Here we are 25 years later from 1999 EverQuest. You are once again on top. Congratulations.
Feels good.
Joppa talked about randomly spawning vendors with rare items. I think this is specifically talking about Silent Plains. That's pretty cool.
That's
also,
cool.
We mentioned that dumpster diving will probably be in the game. Dumpster diving, for those of you that may not know, is where somebody else sells something to a vendor, and then that vendor then has that item on the vendor, which then you can go to the vendor and buy it. We used to do this all the time. We made a lot of money
does this.
way.
This is one of the best parts of MMOs. Just going up to a random vendor, seeing what people have sold to them. That's great. Yeah, that's a must-have.
Vendors in other MMOs nowadays, like modern MMOs, I feel like vendors are so boring.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's just a wall of usually crap, and nothing exciting about it at all. So like, I feel like that brings back this a little bit of excitement. Like what am I going to see here? What am I going to have available? Has somebody come along and sold something that, yeah, it's not going to be the most amazing thing, but you know, it might be a bit of a boost for me. So yeah, I think that's amazing.
You're just too good, Orrinn. Like, I look at vendors and I'm thinking, how can I screw people?
Wow.
I got a story. Oh, this is great. I can't remember the guy's name, but right before the stream on Monday, we were I logged into Pantheon, and this guy was selling 6 slot bags for 2 silver. Well, the vendor sells the bags for 1 silver or 1 silver, 90 copper. And I was like, in OOC, I'm like, you go, man. I'm so proud of you.
Get them Benjamins.
Get them Benjamins. It turns out he didn't know that the vendor sold them.
Right.
He was getting
wink, wink, wink.
Yeah. I didn't know, guys.
Well, that's what he told me anyway.
Of course that's what he told you.
But I thought that was phenomenal. And so that, when I think of dumpster diving, that's what I'm thinking of. People don't understand the value of things, and I know the value of things. And I'm going to hit that vendor, and I'm going to buy up all the stuff that's valuable, and then I'm going to sell it to some sucker somewhere.
Yep. Hey, player-driven economy. We got to have the seedy back alley underbelly to help facilitate that too. That's real life.
I am the seedy underbelly. That's my whole
what's sold in the Silent Plains stays in the Silent Plains.
Hey, halfling, you take a look at my trench coat. You wanna buy this dagger of enlightenment?
The first hit's free. After that, you pay.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh gosh. I hope nobody at VR is listening to this.
From the SGL Action News Desk, this is MMO News, featuring your anchors, Draq and Dymlos.
All right, so whenever there's hot, off-the-press news about our favorite MMO of all time, Palia, I gotta talk about it.
What the heck?
I mean, ever since, Darkpaw or Daybreak, whoever bought it, like, now we gotta follow it, because it's in the umbrella of,
do we have to?
I guess we don't have to, but this is just funny. So this cozy MMO, our favorite cozy MMO, just got even cozier. And why is that, Drac, you ask? That's because they've basically added Beanie Babies to Palia. So everyone out there playing Palia, because I know every single one of our listeners do, we are
a high Palia streaming,
very much pro
creators.
Palia, all the time. Palia's thumbs up. Go get your Beanie Babies. Go get your virtual Beanie Babies. Just like in real life, they will be worth nothing.
You know what's funny about that? I worked in insurance for 15 years, and everyone and their brother thought that Beanie Babies were like a collectible. They don't depreciate.
Yeah.
They were gonna make millions off those Beanie Babies.
I've got 7 Princess Dye Bears.
Yeah.
And
the easiest claim I ever did was 2,000 Beanie Babies, and it was gravy because you can still get the vast majority of them online at BB Toys. At least at the time. And so people are going, oh man, yeah, totally gonna make out on this insurance claim and stuff, right? They did not.
Nope. So sorry.
Yep.
That's too funny. Yeah, I saw this in the news and I was like, oh, sweet. Virtual Beanie Babies. Here we go. All over again.
Somebody's going to love it.
Enjoy Palia, people. Yeah.
Screw the perception system. We just need to get some Beanie Babies.
Joppa, let's get some Beanie Babies in there. Yes. I need collectibles for my houseboat. Houseboat!
This is why the Rewind is a podcast and not a video, because Draq doesn't want anybody to see the Beanie Babies he's surrounded by right now.
Secretly, if he were to pan his camera left or right, it'd just be covered in Beanie Babies.
Just a wall of it.
Yeah.
I have to. My office is the overflow for my 8-year-old daughter's stuffies. So.
Sounds plush.
Secretly, they're actually Drax.
Yes. I do have a thing for rainbow-colored unicorns, It's super
All right. I promise to keep it short. In other news, it turns out there's going to be, and some have probably heard about this, but I just recently found out about it. There is a upcoming fantasy game called Erenshor, which is going to be a single player MMORPG with AI being the people that you interact with. So now I can get my MMO without having to deal with the bane that is other people in my game. I love this. This is my new home. Erenshor is my new home. Erenshor.
I mean, are they going to come up to you with deformed hands and faces and like kind of lean halfway into you? And like, how's that going to work?
No, they are going to have AI controlled players that like will shout in OOC selling their wares. Like it's supposed to simulate an exact MMO just without real people. And all these AI characters will have their own progression with you. Like, you'll ask for a group and they'll join your group, and then you go out and then you see them level up with you. And so you can have conversations with these AI players and enjoy all the MMO fun without ever having to interact with anybody ever again. Hooray!
Wait a minute. First of all, I see this going very dark very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second of all,
Bye, Draq.
There's no possible way that, like, I think this sounds to me like a lot of talk. Like, oh yeah, we're totally going to have AI. They're totally going to play every single character in the game.
You know what it reminds me of? I imagine, have you guys seen the D&D movie, Honor Among
Oh, yeah.
Thieves?
Yeah.
You know the illusion that they create a Chris Pines character and he's, trying to distract the guards and then it goes all really horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I imagine in this.
I mean, there is a demo.
Why would you play it? Why wouldn't you just AFK arena it up and just watch your player as an AI character interacting with all the other AI characters? And
I don't understand this single player MMO thing. Like, if you want to play single player games, just go play single player. If MMOs, like, it's like these people. We're getting mad, Orrinn.
I'm coming to your stream and bringing this up.
well, I won't be as concise as here. But it's like, what is it? This is an MMO. What is it about the genre that you are actually interested in then? Just go play single player. There's tons of them.
Right, and they're way better than MMOs. MMOs are horrible single player MMORPGs. They're horrible.
What is the point? I don't get
it. Well, if you don't get it, the demo is currently available on Steam thanks to the platform's current Next Fest.
I'll get video and I'll put it on the Rewind for Saturday. It'll be fantastic.
Wonderful.
You tell me. I will love that conversation.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about it in the chat.
My caps lock is already on.
This is fantastic.
I don't wanna be a top 40 hit. I don't wanna be Sweet 16. You say top 10, but I tell your friend that it's only top 5 for me. 1, 2, 3, top 5.
Top 5, where Draq always wins and Dymlos always loses. Because I have the pulse, or one might say the Pantheon pulse of this community, and I know exactly the best top 5s for everyone involved.
Well, Orrinn, if you've not stayed to the show to this part, which is tough, we're already like 7 hours in, and now we're getting to the best part of the show. We do this kind of round robin. Draq starts it out. He gives his terrible pick, and then I poo on him and his terrible pick, and then I give my pick, and then you'll give your pick, and we just continue to go round robin. Start with 5s, 4s, 3s, all the way to the top. So
sounds great.
Yeah. All right, Draq. Well, hit me with top number 5.
All right, top 5 was so tough for me this week. I had the D&D animated adventure. That was my top 5.
Whoa.
Really good. But then our adventuring party brought up the fact that I that Voltron. I forgot about Voltron. It totally skipped my mind. Voltron has to be on a top 5 Saturday morning cartoons, so I had to bump D&D Animated Adventures, and I put Voltron as number 5 because it has to be on the top 5 list. What about you, Dymlos?
Draq, I'm so disappointed in you. Like, the fact that you could forget all about Voltron makes me a little sick inside. As someone who is a huge Voltron fan, I've got Lego Voltron behind me. I've got the old 1980s metal Voltron toys still behind me. Every time they release a Voltron toy that has all 5 of the tigers together, lions, sorry, I didn't mean to say tigers. We'll cut that out.
I heard that.
We cut that out. We're editing that out.
Real fan.
Shut up. The Netflix one. Did you watch the Netflix Voltron?
Yes.
So unbelievably good.
Yeah, it's real good.
Honestly, way better than the original one. Because I don't know about you, but if you go back and watch these 80s cartoons, they do not hold up.
No.
They just are not good. There's no plot. Cheesy. There's no character development. It is just 100% awesome. And when we were
I
6
choose to
10,
remember it how I remember it.
No, don't get me wrong.
Is.
I own them all on DVD. I own the whole old school Voltron collection on DVD, and I've gone back and watched them as an adult. They're bad, but I still love them, and it is also my number 5, Draq. So number 5, Voltron, great pick. Definitely can't poo-poo on this one. Orrinn, number 5 for you.
I feel like a lot of mine are a little bit later. I liked a lot of the cartoons in the 80s, but some of the best ones I thought were in the 90s.
Absolutely.
So my number 5 is Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Wonderful pick. With the theme song, the Spider-Man radio. Wow. You can actually go back and watch that on Disney Plus. All those, they're all there. And those are actually still very good. Good.
They've held up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Draq. Number 4.
He-Man, Master of the Universe. Dude, He-Man was the one toy that my parents would buy for me when I was a young child. Because we didn't go to the store and buy toys. They got them at garage sales. And He-Man was the toys that they could find at garage sales. So I had He-Man, Skeletor. I had all the He-Mans. Because I kept a list. In true Draq style, I had a list.
I had a spreadsheet.
I did. It was a spreadsheet before spreadsheets were a thing. Of every
I used graph paper.
I was just going to say that. Graph paper and a ruler.
And I had a list of all the ones that I had and all the ones that I needed. And my parents knew. And my parents knew which ones I needed every time they went out to garage sale. So He-Man, awesome cartoon, and love the action figures. How about your number 4?
Number 4 for me is another oldie but a goodie. 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Love this show.
Ninja Turtles.
So good.
Ninja Turtles.
This is another one that does not hold up at all. Like, if you go back and watch it, I'm telling you, none of these 80s cartoons hold up. Even He-Man.
Very little plot.
There's just nothing to them, but they are so nostalgic for me. And I watched so much Ninja Turtles. All the toys, bought into all those commercials, all that propaganda that got spewed into us. I did it all, and I loved it. I still love Ninja Turtles. Still love Ninja Turtles to this day. Gotta play Shredder's Revenge if you haven't. The new one that came out on Switch, and then they've got a roguelike that's coming out. All the new stuff that's with it, The Last Ronin. If you've never watched or read those comic books, there's only it's like a little 5-part series. It's super easy. Like, the 3 of the brothers die, and there's only one Ninja Turtle left, and he's the last Ronin. They don't tell you who it is until later on in the series. It's so good. So unbelievably good. So dark. That's what my favorite part about the Ninja Turtles now that I'm older is how dark it used to be. This cartoon was like light and fluffy. So I'm glad that it got me introduced because that's the building blocks. So these like first 2 picks for me are like the building blocks of where I went to with
fandom.
With the rest of my life, really. So yeah.
I feel like there's almost, is there a more iconic 1980s cartoon than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I mean, so there is Transformers, there is He-Man. Those are right up there with it, but like this TMNT changed cartoons
big.
forever.
Like, it was big.
Yeah, it was beyond cartoons, right?
It's
like
the only cartoon I was banned from watching because my mom came to school and saw me and my friends beating the crap out of each other, thinking we could do karate.
Yep, that was a big thing for sure. Oh, I love it. And it just kind of changed the culture, right? He-Man didn't do that. Transformers kind of did that a little bit. If you talk to someone that's as old as Draq is, yeah, it kind of changed the culture for him.
Whoa!
But this was the one that kind of brought everything. It almost like ushered in anime and all that stuff into the future. Like, this was just such a turning point. So it definitely had to be on a top 5 for me. Number 4, Turtles, love it. Orrinn, number 4 for you.
So maybe this is kind of obscure. I don't know if anybody really remembers this.
Oh, I do.
The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. This is
Absolutely.
like the only cartoon I got up even earlier to watch, because I think it was like, I don't know what time it started for us. Like really early, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. It was crazy. But it seemed so futuristic at the time, and because it had like the Quest world, like the VR stuff. It's probably all trying to just normalize VR at the time, sell headsets. But I loved it. I thought it was so much fun, and I didn't really have any Johnny Quest other information or whatever or exposure.
Sure, from the old one.
New. Yeah. So it was all kind of new, and I loved it.
Well, anytime you do like a reimagination of cartoons and stuff like that, and it speaks to the IP itself, right? Like, this is still very much a sellable product. You know, it didn't have to be the old school 1970s Johnny Quest cartoon, right? Like, we can still sell this IP to 90s kids, right?
Yeah.
This is such a cool. I'm glad you mentioned this one, because this definitely belongs. Like, that's the great thing about all these lists, is we get to talk about all these great. And this is not like a poo-poo list. Like, sometimes we'd give differing opinions, like when we did pizza toppings and things like that. But this is, I think everyone can kind of agree that anything that we say or anything, it's all valid, right? They're all good. And this is one of them. And even in the future from this cartoon, when the Venture brothers, you know, they did the spoof on Johnny Quest. Like, the IP is still the plot, the characters, it's all great. Like, you can do it funny, you can do it serious, you can do it futuristic. There's so many ways you can do a reimagining of this IP. It's great. Great pick.
Very, very modernized. Like, the soul of the characters is still pretty much there, right? But like,
exactly.
You know, but just modern setting. At least modern at the time when it came out.
Right.
Yeah, loved it.
Modern futuristic for the 90s.
Yeah.
All right, Draq, hit me with your number 3.
You know, sometimes I think you take a look at my list and you just preempt my pick by one, so you get to talk about it first before I do.
Hey, you're the one that sang the theme song, not me.
I think there's a little bit of strategy going here, but I'm going to let it slide because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is my number 3. Dymlos already took all the good stuff, so I am just going to mention that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course, spawned me into the greatest arcade game of all time, which is the 4-person co-op Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I forget the whole name of it, but I spent so much money on that game. Of course, Donatello was the best turtle to be in that game.
Truth.
And I beat it so many times. It was ridiculous. And just an epic staple of my childhood. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 3, Dymlos.
I think my Pizza Hut had it.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That was very popular in the Pizza Hut.
So good.
Number 3, Dymlos.
When there's trouble, you know who to call. Teen Titans! I don't know if I know Draq has never seen this
baby
cartoon.
Pigs. You want to talk about baby pigs? Like Teen Titans, really?
Are you kidding me? We're not talking about Teen Titans Go. That's a very different show. Very different show. Which actually I just read hit its 400th episode. 400 episodes of Teen Titans Go. I have not seen a single one of those. However, the Teen Titans in the original form of it, where they were more adult and not little chibi anime characters and very serious topics, and it wasn't just little baby stuff. No, this is a real cartoon. I love Teen Titans. Robin, complete badass. Starfire, another badass. That whole team, Cyborg, except for Beast Boy. Beast Boy was kind of he was the Michelangelo, right? You know, he had to have a little comedic humor. Plus, his power kind of sucked. Shape shifting into animals, even if it's a T-Rex, I don't really care. You know, but and I'm of course forgetting Raven. Her name was Raven. She was like this dark, like just wore all black and dark purple, and she was awesome. This show was so unbelievably good, and it only got better. Like it started out kind of more for kids, but then as it hit that 5th season, it got real good. And like the bad guy's Deathstroke was voiced by Ron Perlman. Like it got real dark and real cool. And then they were like, nope, this is too dark for us at Cartoon Network, and we got to go to Teen Titans Go. And here we are 400 episodes later.
Yep.
So number 3, Teen Titans. Orrinn, number 3.
My number 3 was Reboot.
I'm so glad you put this on here.
Yeah.
This is definitely an honorable mention for me.
I have no idea what that is.
You're pathetic.
That's fair.
No, it's not. That is not fair. This show was cutting edge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It was like the best graphics, like, you know, because it's all computer graphics in that, and it was like the best computer graphics in a TV show that I think I had seen at the time.
It cost the most money.
Yeah.
It got canceled 1,000 times and brought back. Like they I can't remember. I think it was ABC who had it, and they couldn't figure out why it was so popular, but it cost so much money because they didn't make enough money from it. They just had to constantly say, oh, it's done, but then bring it back and then renew it because it does so well. The show was good. The characters were good. The animation was so good. It was kind of dark. It was a little dark. The bad guys especially.
The bad guys were dark. Well, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like it wasn't just cool looking. It had a story. And, you know, you had plenty of action and everything, too. Like, you know, Bob, the main character, has to come save the day again, as always. But, like, there was an ongoing story there, and I got really invested. And, I mean, like, you know, it should be no surprise with, like, Johnny Quest and Quest World and stuff, and then Reboot that, like, I love Tron. So, like, you know, the idea of especially being, you know, like a young teen or whatever it was however old I was at the time, but like really getting into video games and stuff. And the idea of like this other dimension, this other world inside the computer, fascinated me then, still fascinates me now. So love that show.
That's why you should always stay tuned and stay to the end on the top 5, because you're going to learn some stuff.
First off, it's the best part of the show. I don't know. Like, it's all the prior hour is all fluff to this. So if you're not listening. Really,
I feel like Dymlos and I have bonded and we're best friends now over this list. So
we definitely are. We absolutely are best friends now.
All right, number 2, Thundercats.
Oh, you didn't even do it right. It's Thundercats. Oh,
all right.
Come on.
I'll use yours. Yours is way better.
Yeah.
So Thundercats, I can't even believe you don't have this on your list. This was what inspired
I'll tell you why it's not on my list.
Saturday morning cartoons. the tight leotards and the
we all had the hots for Chitara
and the bad acting and the cheesy lines. Like this like was 80s cartoons like on the pedestal. This was the best that there was. Thundercats
trying to slip in that little moral lesson so parents would be okay with all the violence.
Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you why it doesn't belong on this list. And it's for one person and one person alone. And its name is Snarf. Snarf is the worst. I hate that character. It's miserable. Snarf. Oh, God. Just
whatever. How about your number 2?
Well, my number 2 is a little bit in the future. I was going to sing a little bit of the theme song, but I can't remember how it
DuckTales.
There it is. No. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Yeah, buddy. You cannot have a top 5 list without mentioning DuckTales. This show, so unbelievably good. The old one is good. The new one is even better. I don't know if you guys...
Amazing.
I'm glad that you've seen it too.
Yep.
So good. Voiced by some really... I mean, one of the Doctor Who doctors is Scrooge. Abed from Community is one of the ducklings. It just is... It's wonderful. The old one had character development and story plot. The new one does. Everything about DuckTales. And honestly, one of the greatest Nintendo games of all time. So everything about DuckTales in its entirety is awesome, including spinoffs like Darkwing Duck. So that's another little honorable mention there is Darkwing Duck. Honestly, you could throw in Tailspin too. And if we're getting real into it, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, all that whole Disney block.
Chippendales MMORPG. Extreme
I knew you were going to say
PvP.
that. That whole Disney block was wonderful.
I'm really with you. Like as honorable mentions, I really feel like you can't go wrong.
It's so good.
Watching them with my kids, the old, the new, it doesn't matter. They loved it. I loved watching it with them. It was one of those things where, as a parent, you sort of have to watch these things with your kids.
Yep.
But DuckTales was one we actually enjoyed as a family.
That's when you know it's a good show, is when you can
Absolutely.
watch it as an adult and it still is wonderful. And DuckTales is it. Like you said, the old and the new, both, everything's good about it. There's nothing bad about DuckTales at all.
I've tried to pattern my life after Scrooge McDuck. It hasn't worked out yet. I really want to
like
vault
swim.
and I can. Yeah, I want to be able to swim in the gold coins in my vault. Like that's been a dream of mine for a long time.
The Beanie Baby collection that you invested in.
Yeah,
didn't
that's
really pay
not
off.
nearly as cool. It's not nearly as cool.
All right, Orrinn, number 2.
I'm with you guys with Voltron, but I just ranked it a lot higher because
It's a good show.
it's that good.
He's a real Voltron fan of.
That's true.
As opposed to us plebs.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Voltron, I feel like, is one of the earliest cartoons I remember watching. Like maybe apart from like Gummy Bears and stuff
Sure.
like that, which were good, but I don't really remember them that much. But I still remember watching like where I was the first time I saw Voltron.
Yep.
I remember that moment, and it was so good. I love the lions.
Not tigers.
Not tigers, no. But love the lions. Love like even in the original series, I think they tied the elements to their lions a little bit more.
little
Like,
bit.
even the places where they would like return to,
Yeah.
like their home base was like, it was in
The
a
red was in
volcano.
the lava. Yep.
Yeah.
The blue one was in water. Yep. Absolutely.
I absolutely loved that. So, it was space kind of playing on my love for Star Wars and stuff like that. And it was just so good. Now, again, was it perfect? It wasn't perfect, but as a kid, I love that. And so, yeah, when we saw the reimagined on Netflix, me and the family jumped right into that. One of the first shows that I really got into with my kids, not I'm just watching it because they're watching it,
Right.
but like we're watching it together. We're excited about it. And it's so good. And I agree. I think the new one is even better than the original.
1,000 times better.
And I don't think they can pull that off very often.
Nope.
So
I mean, they
good.
tried several times with like She-Ra and, other older cartoons, and they just didn't even come close to what they did
She-Ra.
with Voltron. No, don't even bring this up.
Yeah.
Good choice. All right, Draq, let's, you've done good so far. Let's see if you can keep going with your number 1.
Garfield and Friends.
Do.
Garfield and Friends.
Do.
This is such a deviation for the rest of your list.
Voltron, He-Man, TMNT, Thundercats, and
Garfield.
I hate Mondays. Oh.
I was a huge Garfield fan growing up. I would get the Sunday paper, and the only thing I cared about was the Garfield cartoon. And then when I was in 4th grade, they had these long books, which were just the Sunday morning cartoons in the book, and it was a whole chapter of it. And I bought every single one of those things. I still have them to this day, the whole collection of them. And so when Garfield and Friends, when I heard there was a cartoon, I was like, set the alarm. Like we didn't even have TV in our house. I had to walk to the grandparents' house. I'm like, we're walking over to the grandparents. We're watching Garfield and Friends. Nobody else gets to choose. Like, I was like, my brother and sister, I was like, you don't get to choose. We're watching Garfield. Like, this is happening. And I watched every single episode. Amazing. Hands down the best Saturday morning cartoon ever, Garfield and Friends.
Well, Draq, this is where I take the time to say, well done, my friend. I loved Garfield and Friends. This show was so good. And the Garfield show was great, but also the Anne Friends show was great as well.
Right? Like, the Anne Friends show was so awesome. Like, usually that's just the trash, but the Anne Friends was so good. The egg, my goodness, the egg.
It might have been better than the actual Garfield show, which is saying a lot because the Garfield part was great, but the farm part was even better. Like that's why I watched the show, was for the Anne Friends. It was so good. Well done, Draq. Well done.
Well, you know, I do bring it every week, and as the reigning champion of the Rewind Top 5, I will take my trophy and take a bow.
Good number one, Draq, but
well, let's see if you can do any better.
Are you kidding me?
I'm looking at your number one, and it's not better. So,
are you kidding? This is hands down the greatest cartoon of all time. And if anyone disagrees with this, then you're wrong, because this is the number one, by far, greatest cartoon of all time. Saturday morning or otherwise, Batman, the animated series. This was game-changing. As game-changing as TMNT was in 87, this was the cartoon of the 90s, and honestly changed cartoons since then forever again. The stories, the bad guys, the plot, how awesome Batman was. Luke Skywalker was the voice of Joker. How could it
get better?
It doesn't. There is no greater cartoon than Batman the Animated Series, and anyone can fight me on this. I cannot believe that this didn't come up on anybody else's list, including the Patreons.
I almost put it on there.
When you're alone,
no,
it signifies that you might be incorrect.
Put it in the comments, people. I need all of you in the comments this week. Hard. If this was your show, like it was mine, and it was so many others, there are like lists out there. If you go on there, this is number one. This is it. There's no better cartoon than Batman the Animated Series.
I feel like when we talk about Batman the Animated Series, it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back, right? It's like whether you like it or not, whether you enjoy it or not,
it's still the best.
It's pretty much considered the best in its field, right? Yep. In its medium and stuff. And I feel like I loved this show. I almost put it on my list. I think just for me, there was some, other reasons why my list was, spoke to me more, but like you kind of can't deny Batman the Animated Series and its place in
it
history.
Swept like every award. Like it won Emmys and shit.
I mean,
or whatever it could win.
Even you bringing up Hamill as the Joker, I don't think there's a more, in my mind, I don't think there's a more iconic, like that's what I think
the Joker.
Of still.
Yep.
That's the Joker.
Heath Ledger, great. He did a great job with that.
Sure.
But you are 100% right. Mark Hamill is the Joker. That's hands down. There's no better.
So does it make me a bad person that I've never seen a single anime?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it makes you a horrible human being.
Draq.
I cannot believe you've not even seen one episode. And they not only do they have like iconic bad guys like Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, all of them, and my favorite, the Riddler, but they also do like the Condiment King and the Mad Hatter. Who was the one that was the clockmaker? I can't even remember his name. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The one where they go back to Bruce Wayne's favorite thing growing up, which was the gray the gray goose, or no, that's vodka. The gray something, and like that's where he got the idea to be Batman. That was like the childhood memory. Like his Saturday morning cartoon was him watching this as a child, and that's what kind of turned him into, like, that was his icon and why he is Batman, other than his parents dying and all that stuff. Right, the regular plot, but like, it's so good. So good. Ugh.
His parents' death was just a catalyst.
Yep.
To push the idea out into reality.
Exactly.
In this
Gosh, Draq, I cannot believe you've not seen this cartoon.
How, Draq? I can't even believe. Like, I was joking before about when I was razzing you, but like, how did you miss a single episode, like any episode of the show?
All right, so I got 2 things to watch. I got Batman and X-Men.
You need to put Reboot on there too.
And
That's
Reboot.
a great show.
Okay,
Yep.
3 things. Look at how much I'm learning on this one.
Dymlos, he's gonna come back and he's gonna be like, "Wow, that was all crap."
If he does, then that just shows him how terrible his actual top 5
I would never
list is.
admit that publicly.
Welcome to the Rewind. It's Orrinn and Dymlos now.
Yeah, good luck listening to 18 hours of Joppa streaming.
Ain't nobody else doing that. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, no, definitely this is a great show. Speaking of great shows, Orrinn, you're number 1.
Yeah, my number 1. Where on earth is Carmen Sandiego?
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, I love the game show
back.
was the game show was great too. That music is iconic. Like, but it's kind of like taking that idea. I grew up with Carmen Sandiego with the game, right? Like my parents picked up a computer when I was really young from like my coworker of my mom's or something. So we had like an old Apple from way back, and one of the first games I think I ever played on that was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, where you used to get the almanac.
Yep.
Yep. And so like my mom and I would sit there and play that game, and I absolutely loved it. I played Carmen Sandiego games into my early teens, and absolutely loved that show. I thought it was fun. Again, kind of a more modern take on Carmen Sandiego. And, you know, I think even the new Netflix show has really kind of kept it in my mind. We tried watching that as a family too.
So good.
Till my daughter noped out, which I'm still disappointed in her. I know. Listen, I don't know.
I watched that whole thing. I don't have any children. I watched that whole thing.
I got Kyle Larson. I keep talking about going back and just watching it ourselves. Forget the kids.
Yeah, it's so good. And are you ready for this? They're actually coming out with a new video game. It's going to release.
Nice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, really? But it's this Carmen Sandiego where she's not the bad guy anymore. She's the good guy.
I loved that take.
Yep.
I loved the take on like, did we really know what was going on here? It was kind of like seeing behind the curtain, but I loved the characters in Where on Earth. I love the theme song of that was the bad guys were great.
Yep.
The theme song of that was really great. They were going all over the world. It had this futuristic, it was kind of, I guess like the idea was they were kind of I have a theme here, I guess.
You kind of do.
I think it was they were in the kind of computer world too, in a way, like they were in the video game.
Yep.
But it felt really real too. So I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was so good. That was the first thing that whether I would always rank it my number 1 or not, that was the first show that came into mind when I thought about Saturday morning cartoons.
This is a great one. This would definitely be an honorable mention for me. All right. Well, our lists are all basically flawless. So let's take a look at what our Patreon put up. So, Draq, if you could put the list up now, and we'll quickly go over these.
Poof. Magical.
Poof. It's like a professional is here. Okay. So Llama forgot to do his again this week, which is fine. If you don't want to interact with the show, Llama, that's fine. We get it. You're too good for us. Or maybe this is where I could have learned. Llama always brings something way out of left field that I've never heard of. And I usually, as the person that's coming up with the lists, we talk about subject matter experts. Like I know cartoons. Like this was definitely it. So I'm missing Llama's list, and maybe he'll get it to us later this week and we can post it on here just to see what it is so I can see if there's anything cool. But in the meantime, we got Zip and Screech. And so Ziploc went old school. He's clearly semi-old like Draq. And he went with Underdog, which was not listed. Great show. Certainly funny. Draq, did you ever watch Underdog?
No, I never did.
He's a superhero. You know, he turns into Underdog. He's a regular, mild-mannered Clark Kent dog, and then turns into a Superman underdog, and that's the cartoon. So it's basically Superman as a dog. Yeah,
vaguely remember it, but yeah.
But then the rest of this is awesome. Thundercats, great, other than Snarf. He-Man, we already talked about. But G.I. Joe, none of us mentioned, and I think there were G.I. Joe split American families, right? There were the families that like were all about G.I. Joe, the real American hero. And then there were families like mine who, you know, we didn't do the gun thing and we didn't do violence and things like that. They were a little more sheltered. So that's why G.I. Joe's not on my list. I was never allowed to watch G.I. Joe because it was ultra, quote unquote, ultra violent and
super violent.
Yeah. So I was not allowed to watch G.I. Joe, even though there was no blood. There was, you know, it was Cobra Commander. That guy was the most worthless bad guy of all time.
He was super whiny.
Yeah.
You want to talk about whiny and annoying? He was the most annoying bad guy ever. I was like, quit monologuing. I just want to shoot
Other than
myself.
Starscream, speaking of Starscream, Zip's number one, Transformers. You're right. It's funny that Zip has the three most worthless people in a show. We got Starscream in Transformers is number one. We got Cobra Commander and G.I. Joe, and then Snarf and Thundercats is number four. So Zip loves all things cringe. We've clearly spotted that with his list. Though not bad, certainly not as good as any of our lists. So Zip, your list is even though Transformers, we are going to get a ton of flack for none of us having Transformers on air. And I forgive us Transformer fans, for at least for Orrinn and I, that was a little before our time, just within months, maybe even a year.
Top 5. It's just not. It's like top 10. Not.
It's
top
good.
5.
It's a great show. The movies were good. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it didn't hit for me nostalgic as all these other ones. So forgive us, Transformers fans. Your show was great. It just missed us, especially Draq, because he misses everything like Batman.
Speaking of missing stuff, like Screech and the Wayback Machine. Holy moly!
Well, and you know, we did the sitcoms before, and we did find out that the Screech is a little bit more aged,
more mature.
Us. Yeah, certainly more mature. Let's just say his balls hang lower than everybody else's, and so in his top 5, we didn't listen to any of these, which is sad because his number 2 is one of my just absolute favorites. Shocking that I didn't put Speed Racer on this list, but it's for the same reason that why Voltron was number 5 and why Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is number 4 for me, is because Speed Racer, it didn't stand the test of time. The plot is bad. There's very little character development, but dang, that show was good. And it had a lot of action and race cars, and the cars fought. Okay, so back to Screech's list. Sorry. We got Old School Super Friends, great. Form of Bucket Water. Oh no, that was the Wonder Twins, not Super Friends. Super Friends is all the DC characters, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you can't beat this as Batman, Superman. Although, were the Wonder Twins a part of the Super Friends? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think they were,
but they got their own show.
Yeah,
they did have their own spinoff. So now I feel justified that I said that. Yeah, Super Friends, great. Flintstones, a staple. We all watched. I don't care who we are. We all watched the show, and we watched a boatload of it, and it's great. The movies.
I love Ribs.
Yep. Everything about the Flintstones, the cereal. I mean, it was Draq's favorite cereal in his top 5, and he couldn't even. He like kept calling it.
I didn't care about the cereal. I just liked the Flintstones.
He kept calling it Cocoa Pebbles or Cocoa Krispies, even though it was Cocoa Pebbles. I just liked the Flintstones. So the fact that the Flintstones didn't make your top 5, Draq, it makes me go back and think that your cereals list is absolute trash now too. You have the worst top 5 list. Let's go back to the point that you have the worst top 5 list. Anyway,
Draq is an enigma.
You are exactly right.
You cannot nail me down. No
I
one
cannot.
puts Draq in a box.
All right, so we got Super Friends, Flintstones, Looney Tunes. He did specifically put Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, but I had to like kind of clench it into Looney Tunes because that was the show, right? So Looney Tunes. I mean, we all watched a ton of this. Like this was absolutely that. Speed Racer. I'm glad you put this as number 2, Screech, because it was good. It was awesome. If Screech, if you've not seen that movie, I'm going to be real disappointed.
Timeless doesn't like it.
This is another one that I own on DVD, not Blu-ray, DVD, because I've had it for that long. And then number 1, shocking that this one didn't make it on any of our lists too, but it's just because 90s cartoons, like action cartoons, were just better, and Screech didn't have those action cartoons like we did. So if we didn't have what we had in late 80s, early 90s, Scooby-Doo would have definitely been on the list. Because I watch a ton of Scooby-Doo? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
The different evolutions, it's still around today. They're still making movies, live action movies, cartoons movies. It's all still around. So this IP is iconic and deserves to be a number 1. So
I feel like Screech's whole list is like they're all classics. Like I don't think, I'm sure some people don't like them, but like overall,
I don't know how you can not.
How
like
do you,
these.
you know?
Yeah.
How do you not like these
Screech
shows?
is
like,
a classic. Like we should like put him in a museum.
Screech, that you're a classic.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Before you leave, we've one final word. Before you've forgotten all that you've heard, there is a moment evergreen. Stay here a while and listen to me.
Now we've come to the very sad point in the show where we have to say goodbye to Orrinn, and he will leave us.
No,
And end this
so
7.5-hour podcast.
I just want to keep going. This is so fun.
You almost beat Nathan though. Like here we're still going. I know
told
we're
you.
cutting a ton of this out, but we're getting pretty close. We're definitely over time. Definitely over
I told
time.
you. I don't small talk.
Orrinn, so thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Please, everyone, go check out his channel on Twitch. It's a lot of fun. I've done some lurking. I will be more active now that we've become best friends. I will be more active in your chat.
Amazing. I'd be glad to have you.
I think we're going to continue the tradition of the QR code. I think that's going to be a thing. Every guest we have on now gets a QR code for their portion of the thing.
I feel so fancy.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting real professional here. That's what we do here on the Rewind.
Well, hey, love what you guys do. Like I said, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. Really had a great time.
Yeah, this was fun. Good stuff. Great show.
Listen, buy your Pantheon. I subscribe to the Dream shirt.
Oh yeah, this
Coming
is
out
merch.
soon.
We got to promo the merch.
Coming out soon.
QR code for this too.
2 QR codes. Yes. 10% of all shirt sales will go back to Orrinn.
Yes, I'm in. Pantheon, subscribe to the Dream.
Sorry, bud. That 10% is coming out of the free shirt we give you.